It's Monday, February 3rd.
We may have short-term, some little pain, and people understand that.
Short-term pain with no promise of a longer-term gain. Canada and the U.S. are about to start a trade war that will leave people on both sides of the border facing damage.
Most of this is so unpredictable. Our job is to be ready.
With U.S. tariffs now looking unavoidable, Canada reveals its plan to hit back. Bundle up. A deep freeze in the prairies might make it hard to roll out of bed this morning. Wind chills in some areas close to -40.
Cowboy Carter.
Historic night. Beyonce earning 2 Grammys, including her long-awaited Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning, I'm Lindsey Deluce.
I'm Kelsey McEwen. Happy Monday.
Oh, what everyone's talking about today. I woke up to a lot of messages on my Instagram feed about what to buy that is Canadian, really what to buy that is not American or don't buy American. Did you get that in your feeds too this morning?
Yes, a lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of that happening because of the tariffs, right? We're talking about that as our lead story on this Monday morning. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and U.S. President Donald Trump are expected to speak with each other this morning ahead of a trade war that will come into effect tomorrow.
I love the people of Canada. I disagree with the leadership of Canada, and something's going to happen there. But if they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want. Mexico, we've had very good talks with them.
So President Trump says his tariffs against Canada, Mexico, and China may cause, quote, short-term pain for Americans, but he's planning to push forward anyway. On social media yesterday, President Trump repeating his stance that the U.S. doesn't need anything from our country. He also once again called on Canada to become the 51st state. Officials in Canada are not hopeful this trade war can be avoided.
I'm very pessimistic that by Tuesday we can get out. My conversations with Howard Lutnick and others in the administration tell me that perhaps in March there's a window again.
Canada is planning to hit back at the U.S. by putting a 25% tariff on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods. That will begin tomorrow, by the way. 3 weeks after that, another $125 billion worth of U.S. imports will be hit. Government officials say money collected through tariffs will go toward financial relief. Still too early to tell how much money the retaliatory tariffs will bring in, though.
Put aside partisan interests and recall Parliament.
Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has come out with his plan to deal with the tariffs. Points include building alliances with U.S. business, reducing trade barriers between provinces, and cutting taxes. Meanwhile, the Liberal Party leadership candidates have actually released a joint statement. In that, they say that they promise that the next Liberal leader will stand up against unjust tariffs. Canada has come out with its list of U.S.-made items that will be hit by tariffs starting tomorrow. So that includes food and drinks, clothes, footwear, furniture, appliances, as well as lumber and paper. A second list of bigger ticket items is expected over the next couple of days. For now, Canada is leaving energy out of its response plan.
It will not have a significant effect as it might represent in some other sectors, but it is going to raise the price of goods and services for people in the United States.
The U.S. tariff plan calls for Canadian energy to be hit with a 10% tariff instead of the 25%. The U.S. buys more than 4 million barrels per day. The tariff may translate to U.S. drivers paying up to 25 cents more a gallon. Now, experts say that's enough for people to feel the difference, but likely not enough to change driving habits. Provinces also responding to the tariffs by pulling U.S. alcohol off store shelves.
We'll have retaliatory measures. It's unfortunate. We don't want to do it.
I have directed BC liquor sales to immediately stop buying American liquor from red states.
So, Ontario, BC, Quebec, Nova Scotia, PEI, Manitoba, Newfoundland, and Labrador, all planning to stop selling some or all U.S.-made alcohol. In Ontario, the LCBO sells $1 billion worth of American-made liquor every year. Many bars and restaurants also cut off, unable to restock once the ban takes effect, of course. Most provinces planning this ban will stop selling U.S. alcohol tomorrow. BC has already started pulling bottles off of its shelves. In other news today, officials in the U.S. say they've recovered and identified 55 of the 67 people killed in last week's plane crash in Washington.
We will absolutely stay here and search until such point as we have everybody.
D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly says divers still need to locate the bodies of 12 victims. He also says they are committed to the dignified recovery of remains as they prepare to lift wreckage from the Potomac River this morning. Earlier Sunday, families of the victims visited the crash site just outside of Washington. The families gathered along the banks of the river near Reagan National Airport. 5 people remain in hospital after a deadly medevac jet crash in Philadelphia Friday night. 7 people were killed in that crash. All 6 people on board the plane died, as well as 1 person who was in a car on the ground. The plane had been carrying a pediatric patient and her mom. They were returning home to Mexico after being treated for an illness at a children's hospital. The jet had just taken off and was in flight for less than a minute when it crashed into a residential neighborhood. At least 22 people were hurt. 3 of those people remain in critical condition. It is a frigid start to the week in the Prairie provinces.
Even in the cold, this dog needs a lot of exercise.
There are extreme cold warnings this morning across much of BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and northern Manitoba. Environment Canada warning everybody, cover up, avoid frostbite, because as we know, it can develop within minutes on exposed skin. Environment Canada also warning about a wintry mix of conditions blowing across BC's south coast over the next couple of days. Ooh, look at that. Metro Vancouver waking up to a lot of snow this morning. We could see as much as 25 centimeters this morning. It's also cold, so that means the snow won't be melting right away either. I went through so much washer fluid this weekend. I really did. It has been a long time coming, but Beyonce is finally a Best Album winner at the Grammys.
It's been many, many years.
It has. She finally won the biggest award of the night for her 8th album, Cowboy Carter. The win comes 25 years after her first Grammy nomination when she was part of Destiny's Child. Beyonce's daughter, you saw her on the stage there. There she is, Blue Ivy, joining her on stage. Beyonce dedicated her award to Linda Martell, a pioneer for Black musicians in country music. Martell also featured on several of the tracks on Cowboy Carter. There was also a bit of a surprise for Beyonce as she won Best Country Album. And look who gave it to her, Taylor Swift, another artist who switched between pop and country, presenting her with that Grammy.
We are asking you to donate what you can to Music Cares Fire Relief.
Members of the LA Fire Department walked the red carpet. They were honored during the ceremony. Artists made tributes to the city throughout the show. The host, Trevor Noah, said fundraising efforts actually during the show raised $7 million from viewers.
Labels, we got you, but do you got us?
Wow, so much happening with the makeup. Meanwhile, Chappell Roan won the Grammy for Best New Artist, talked about really equitable pay and better working conditions in the music industry. She said that she promised herself that if she ever won a Grammy, she would demand that labels offer a living wage and health care to artists. Lady Gaga, there she is, also spoke up in support of LGBTQ2S+ rights in the wake of, well, we know, U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order stating there are only 2 genders in the U.S.